Hey guys, so today I'm going to be looking at people reveal the cringiest weddings they've been to. So yeah, let's just get right into the video. At a classmate's wedding, they were young, maybe 22, 23. There is apparently a caking tradition in some parts of the country where when they cut the wedding cake, the couple feed each other a bit and smear each other's faces with cake as a joke. The bride had absolutely made 1000% clear to the groom she did not want to be caked. He did it anyways, and not just a small smear, but full on smushed a slice in her face. She was stunned initially, then got up, face full of cake, yelled, "You jerk, I told you not to do that," and then ran to a back area in the reception. The groom tried to follow, but the bridesmaid's mother of the bride stopped him. So he sat at the head table awkwardly while half the wedding party rushed off with the bride. She stayed back there for like an hour. They eventually did let him back there to check on her. We could hear her crying and them arguing. The rest of the reception came to a screeching halt until one of the bride's aunts emerged and directed the servers to clear the tables and put on some music. They got divorced 2 years later. I mean, what was the groom thinking? She already told you not to do it, so don't do it. Like, if you can't even respect someone's request, that's like a red flag, you know. She told you not to do it, so why did you do it? I just think it's so dumb that the groom still did it even though she told him not to do it. Like, what was he thinking? You know, was he like, it's gonna be funny though, I'm still gonna do it? The groom gave a speech thanking everyone for coming that devolved in the space of about 2 minutes into a straight up roast of his new brother-in-law. They were friends, and the brother-in-law seemed to take it in good humor, but there's only so much implication of, "I'm for sure going to be hooking up with your sister tonight," that you can take before it becomes really cringy. It didn't help that A, I barely knew anyone there because I was a +1, and B, I was on the table with the elderly relatives from that side of the family who were less than amused. That's so cringy. Why would you bring that up? I think that's the last thing you would want to bring up, you know? Especially in front of her family and everything. Like, just have your day and be happy. You don't have to be like, I got the girl now. Everyone can see. Everyone knows what's going to be happening in the future, whatever. You don't have to bring it up like that. That's so cringy. Bride shows up almost 2 hours late to her own wedding. Southern California in an open field, no water, no shade. She shows up and wants to get married in her yoga outfit. The groom shut it down, and when she refused to change her clothes, the groom decided to leave her looking stupid, and they never got married. Oh my gosh. Well, you know, he dodged something for sure, I guess. She showed up 2 hours late to her own wedding and she didn't even get dressed up for it. Like, it just seemed like she didn't care at all. Oh, I feel bad for the groom. At the reception line, after the church wedding ceremony, the bride had a large bottle of her favorite perfume and sprayed each guest with it, female and male, whether they wanted it or not, as they entered the hall. Some guests complained that the smell of perfume was so strong that they lost their appetite and couldn't partake of the banquet. Why do you need to spray perfume on guests? Like, was she trying to be considerate or something? I don't get it. Some people can't even handle the smell of perfume though. Like, it makes them sneeze or they're very sensitive to it. Really? They sang the vows to each other. Neither had a singing voice. Vows were generally crazy, like submissive in the bedroom and not asking about where she was going. The auto-tune microphones were a terrible idea. The Vows song shared a chorus and it was awful, and they expected the guests to sing along with the chorus. The Vows singing lasted 20 minutes. Pure cringe. 20 minutes? That's long. They sang for 20 minutes? How do you sing your vows to each other? Submissive in the bedroom. The groom sang his vows. Again, another one. I honestly had to stare at the floor and slow breathe to not laugh and get through it. Why are there so many singing vows? Invited all of the Facebook friends and expected 700 people. and like less than 100 show up. That's still a lot of people though, 100 people. That's still a lot of people. But man, 700 people. I was just thinking about like my friends, because you know how sometimes you added random people when you were in high school or like young, you know, like you knew them from a mutual friend but you didn't personally know them, but you still added them anyway. Like I have so many of those friends that I hardly know, but they're just on my friends list. This is what I'm thinking for them as well. Like I don't even think all of their friends are close to them. 700 people? No way. Not the groom and bride's fault, but the pastor marrying them. Talked about his marriage and his kids for 20 minutes. He was obviously going for something of showing what marriage will be like. But he full up was talking about how his daughter, Kelsey, learned to walk this way, and his other daughter's first words were this and that he and his wife make love throughout the house because that's what you do when you're in love. Bride and groom had to stand there holding hands for 20 minutes right in front of him as the other 150 of us had to listen about his life and his kids. Why is he talking about himself when it's not his wedding? I feel like there are a lot of people like this though, you know, like they make it everything about themselves. There's always that one person in your life that does this. It's not about them, but they make it about them. Oh my gosh. Apples everywhere. On the tables, in baskets all around the venue, on the podium where they got married, pictures of apples hanging everywhere. Small fake trees with apples tossed under them. The dude marrying them had an apple tie on. Apples somehow incorporated into every dish for the reception. The cake was shaped like an apple. Did they marry an apple? You know, like they might as well have an apple as a kid. Bride takes 3 hours to appear. After the ceremony, she and her spouse go up in an air balloon. The marriage did not last a year. She takes 3 hours to appear to her own wedding. Man, that's so disrespectful to the groom and the wedding guests as well, you know? Like, they're there to witness the happy day of yours and you're really gonna be late when you invited them to the wedding. My cousin and his wife are super religious and maybe the two most awkward people I've ever met. They did one of those fake out first dances where it starts with a slow song, then transitions to a dance number with an upbeat song. Not only is that naturally cringeworthy, the upbeat song was 5 minutes long and they just kept repeating the same moves over and over for what felt like eternity. There was no alcohol allowed at the wedding, so there was nothing to dull the pain. When I was 11, my cousin got married for the 3rd time. I never really liked her because A, she was 37 when I was 11. We didn't have a lot in common, and B, she was pretty full of herself. The wedding itself was fine, pretty boring but fine. Then we get to the reception. We were told we had to sit down as soon as we got there. Some people found it weird, but I've only been to one other wedding before this. Her other marriages were when I was little. No kids were allowed at our weddings, so I didn't think anything of it. The bride and groom then make a huge dramatic entrance and everyone awkwardly clapped for them as they strutted around the room with actual crowns on their heads. The bride then gets the microphone and hands it to her mum and asks her to say something she loves about the bride. She then tells her mum to pass it on and says she wants everyone in the room to say one thing they absolutely love about the bride. Not the bride and groom, not the relationship, just the bride herself. It was super awkward. What? Everyone at the wedding had to say something they liked about the bride? What the heck? I would probably say something like, I like your name. Seriously. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Why put everyone on the spot? Why? Flew away in a helicopter at the end, but there were only appetizers for food. They flew away? They had a helicopter? Whoa. Wows. Rich. Not the bride and groom, but the bride's father. I was the best man. They married young after she fell pregnant. It wasn't planned, but they clearly loved each other and it was the right thing for them to do in their eyes, both Christian. Anyway, come the wedding day, I'm sat next to the bride's father at the reception and I can see he's looking at his prepared speech repeatedly. I can see phrases like not ideal, would have preferred not to welcome you into the family in these circumstances, etc. Just before the groom gets up to give a speech, the bride's father excuses himself to nip to the loo, leaving his speech behind. I'm not ashamed to say I swiped it and then pleaded ignorance when he returned. In the end, he stood up and muttered a few words about love and then sat down. I never told the groom, and I'm happy to say they'll still live happily married 20 years later. Wow, what a good person, honestly. Oh, so glad he did this, because if he didn't, it would have been so awkward and it would have ruined the moment, and I feel like the bride would just be so sad. And she would just be crying because it's her dad that doesn't like her husband, you know. And, you know, she's going to be like, but you're my dad, you should be happy for me. Oh, I'm so glad none of that happened. Jeez. Good person. Well, that's it for the video. Hope you guys enjoyed. Tell me in the comments down below what your thoughts are. And as always, thanks for watching. Hope you guys liked it. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye.